Greetings, traveler. Today I'm going to show you how I have replaced all the grids, grid mats and similar things in Dungeons and Dragons with nothing but this. So my name is Xanthos. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons for more than 30 years now, and something that always made my life more difficult when DMing all these games was the material that I had to carry with me when I was going to play D&D somewhere. Specifically, the grid mats. Where would I find them? Especially 30 years ago, they weren't as available as they are right now. How big they should be, what color they should have. Should they have like a forest background or a dungeon background or a temple background or whatever? All these questions were swirling in my mind. I tried several solutions. I tried this mathematical pink millimeter paper. I tried printing out and laminating my own grids and so on. I tried making smaller ones and then combining them into bigger ones. Long story short, nothing worked for me because it was always a cumbersome system and it was nothing I could use on the spot and carry easily. So one day I was at a friend's place and we wanted to play D&D, but we didn't have our usual material. All we had was a chessboard with chess pieces and basically a ruler like this. So on the spot I came up with a system where I thought, well, if ranges in D&D are so important, and most of the time when you measure distance it's in the context of a range, why can't we just use a simple ruler to find the range instead of having to work with a rigid grid and so on? So I thought, well, let's think about this. So typically a character's movement is 30 feet, right? So that's 6 squares on the grid system. Now, 1 square, the standard is for it to be 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters in size. So that follows that if we had a 15 centimeter ruler or a 6-inch ruler, then we should be able to measure the same distance. And that's what I have here. This is a 15 centimeter ruler, and this should give us exactly the distance that a character can move on his turn. So of course there's going to be other distances and there's going to be characters who move more or less, and there's spell effects that have different ranges, and of course that's normal. But having this very simple 30 feet way of measuring distance, then that puts us in a very easy situation when we want to measure how far something can go. So the way I used this was, let's say that there is a character here. Let's put it here. So let's say there is a character here and we want to know how far this character can move. All we need to do is place the ruler like this, and we know that the character can move that far. Now of course you can say that's not accurate enough, or you're giving players too much distance or too little distance and so on, and thankfully that's something we can tweak. So this ruler, as you can see, has two usage modes. One usage mode is that it starts with some empty space in the beginning and it has some empty space in the end, or it has all the empty space here in the end, and on that side the counting starts right from the angle, right from the corner. And if you want more precision, I'm pretty sure you can find a ruler that has even more precision than this for extremely cheap. Any stationery store basically should have one of these. I used this technique just for that game, and then when I was thinking back to it, I thought, wait a minute, so that gave us way more freedom. If you've been following this channel for a while, you know how much I value fast pace in combat and ease of use for D&D rules. So if just using this ruler can replace all the mats, all the finding them, buying them, making sure they look good, making sure that you remember to carry them, making sure they're always available. If I could replace all of that with just this, and especially when teaching new players how far a character can move, what they can do in their turn, for somebody who has never played D&D before, I found that it was much easier for me to say you can move this far, rather than saying, look, so your character is here and your goal is here, so your character can move 30 feet, so that means 1, 2, 3. It's a bit of a process, especially for a new player. Or I could say, this much. If your goal is within this, you can go there. If it's not, you can't, and you have to wait for your next turn to do one more of these. So anyway, that's the way I found to measure distance in D&D faster. If I wanted to measure distances greater than 30 feet, so greater than this ruler would allow, I found that it's easier to just do another measuring of distance like this. So like let's say we start from here, and we want to measure a distance somewhere here. It was easier for me to take note of this point and then do another measurement and then do another. I found that takes, I don't know, just a couple of seconds to do, and it has enough precision to tell us if you can get to that place or not. And it's certainly faster than counting squares, and it's definitely easier than remembering all the different grid shapes that we find in the player's handbook and the dungeon master's guide and so on, where they explain if you throw a fireball and it has so much radius, this is how you calculate it in squares, and if you have a cone spell, this is how it maps out on the grid. I always found those systems to be a little bit clunky, and I found this to really make my life easier and make the game flow much faster. So anyway, that's my experience. If you've had experience with this kind of system, please let me know if you found any other tricks around this. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time, and as always, have fun.